This conference will now be recorded.
No, it is recorded, right? You can check.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So lack of standards makes our life very difficult. If you are following standards, will make our life much more easier. That is the example here it is given. So before I explain CDISC standards, why they are important, I'm just explaining the basics. So why standards are important. Okay, right. So I will maximize this. I will zoom this. So you guys can read the content here. You guys can read the content here. Here also. Pfizer takes painkiller Bextra off market. I want you guys to read the content. Sorry. Yeah, you can read the content. Mm. So you can see, right? Arthritis drug wax recalled. Pfizer takes painkiller Bextra off market. So after approval also, we have, FDA has called back these drugs because there are some side effects. Okay, right. So actually, these drugs are approved in a confusion because everybody, they are following different standards. Every CRO is following different standards, and FDA got confused with respect to this terminology, and unfortunately, they released the drug into the market. After this drug is into the market, it has caused a lot of side effects. Okay, so even FDA also will confuse if every company is following different standards. Even FDA guys also, they will confuse and they will approve the product. So the reason, standards are very much important to us. Okay, right. For example, to make you understand this concept very much clear, I will give you an example. You can see. Suppose to say this is a CRO1, this is a CRO2. So how many phases of clinical trials we have? How many phases of clinical trials you have?
Fourth.
Five.
Five వచ్చినాయా? ఐదో ఎవరు కనిపెట్టారు బాబు?
Fourth.
S0.
So four phases of clinical trials we have, correct? Fine. So phase 0 is nothing but preclinical, right? You guys
Yes.
agree, or it is something different? It is not a clinical trial. We cannot consider it as a clinical trial. Okay, right. So now you can see here. You can see here in phase 1 they used to call, in CRO1 the terminology is like, in phase 1 they used to call subject ID, subject. In phase 2 they call as, phase 2 they call as patient. Phase 3 also they call as patient. Phase 4 they call as volunteer. Okay, phase 4 they call as volunteer. So here CRO2 for all the cases they call it as subject. So every whatever the style it whatever the phase it is, actually we should call it as subject only. Okay, whatever it is we should call it as subject only, right? So now you can see here now FDA reviewer 1, this study is reviewed by reviewer 1, this study is reviewed by reviewer 2, so he is a FDA reviewer 2. Now FDA reviewer 2 has completed his work, reviewer 1 is on leave, reviewer 2 finished his work and reviewer 1 is on leave. So will they ask them to shift ideal? No, right? They will ask them to change another, they will ask them to take one more study, correct? Right? Fine. So now what they are doing is they have asked, so their manager asked, reviewer 1 is on leave, so try to take this work. So reviewer 1 has checked phase 1, phase 2 data. Phase 3 data is supposed to check and give pending. Okay. So whenever this study has come, okay, whenever the study has come. So here, this guy, so you see here, phase 3, okay, phase 3 data has come. So in confusion, so he has gone through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right? He has to just go through, right? So overall he will check. So actually he is verifying phase 3 data, but to get a rough idea, he is looking at phase 1 data. Okay, actually he's checking phase 3 data, but to get a rough idea, so he started looking from phase 1 data. So in phase 1, you can see here, it is a subject. So phase 1, the terminology is subject. Okay, so here the person, unfortunately, in place of phase 3 checklist, he brought phase 1 checklist. The moment he saw phase 1 phase subject terminology, so he got phase 1 checklist. So again, phase 1 checklist is already done, right? Phase 2 is also done, right? So this confusion, whenever he saw subject, unfortunately, he brought again phase 1 checklist. With respect to phase 1 checklist, he checked everything and he approved the drug into the market. Okay, so this all confusion is due to the terminology. Agree, yes or no? This all confusion is due to terminology. Agree, yes or no? You guys are understanding, yes or no?
Exactly.
Right? So for this reason, what they are doing is, okay, so they want to, standardize each and every word in clinical trials. Okay, they wanted to standardize each and every terminology in clinical trials. Okay, so without standards, you understood the impact, right? Without standards, you are able to understand the impact, right? Agree, yes or no? Without standards, you are able to understand the issue, right? Consequences, right? Right. So
ಇದನ್ನ
this is how it is.
ಹೊರ್ರಾಗ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಇಡ್ತದೆ.
Next, clinical information dispersion today. So clinical information, you can see, right? So healthcare information is provided in paper medical records. You can find healthcare information in paper records, disparate databases, clinical research, information systems, hospital based information systems. Clinical research data exists in additional databases. research notebooks. Okay, you can get this in research notebooks. And clinical trial data collection, 3-part NCR forms in 85% of trials, and multitude of electronic data capture applications like ECRF. You know ECRF? ECRF stands for electronic case report form. ECRF stands for electronic case report form. Next, IVRS. IVRS stands for interactive voice response system. IVRS stands for interactive voice response system. IVRS stands for interactive voice response system. ePro. ePro stands for electronic patient reported outcome. ePro stands for electronic patient reported outcome. Okay, so clinical trial data you will get is available in all these forms. Okay, right. So the move the standards. This I want everyone to read this one. So why standards are important? Why should we go with standards? I want everyone to note down this. So now you can see here, faced with rapid changes, the nation's healthcare system has fallen short of its ability to translate information into knowledge that can be used in practice and to apply new technology safely and appropriately. Okay, right. So now you can see here, because of this understanding gap, because of this communication gap, you know, people are not able to transform their information into knowledge. Okay, people are not able to transform their information into knowledge. Right. For example, a person number one has worked in an organization for almost 10 years. Now he changed the company. He got changed the company. So in this company, the standards were a bit different. At the same time, you can see here the terminology is different. Here the terminology is different. Okay, right. So now how to do this? So this person should slowly understand the process. Immediately this person cannot give any solution. Agree, yes or no? Because the standards here are different, the terminology is different. So to correlate them, to make them understand, the person needs some time. Okay, so if everybody is following same standard, for example, you have got a nickname at your home, or to your childhood friends, they will call you with your nickname. But now in office you will be called with your own name, the name in your mark list or whatever it is, certificates. Correct. Unfortunately, office guy tries to find you at your hometown. Will you be able to find at hometown? No, right? It takes some time for the person to recognize, okay, both are same. Agree, yes or no? Agree, yes or no? You guys are getting the point, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So supposed to say, for example, a person is called as Nani at his home. Okay, so person is called as Nani at his home. So actually that person name is Kiran. Okay, so office guys, when they went to their hometown, they will ask, is Kiran is there or not? Kiran, who is Kiran? So that is how people will think. After some time, they will realize, yes, Kiran is nothing but our Nani. Correct. So it will take some time for the person to understand the concept. Yes or no? So likewise, suppose to say I'm
Yes,
working
sir.
in an organization. So in my organization, we have some standards. We have some internal standards. We are following it. So I moved to some other organization. So I have 10 years of experience. Still, I will not be able to guide them because of this terminology difference. So first of all, I have to go through the terminology, see, understand, and then only I can comment. Otherwise, I cannot. Agree, yes or no? Agree, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is how. So because of, so you see, right, that is what, why we have to move to standards is, even though we have that knowledge, sorry, even though we have complete information about the concept, still our information is not able to convert into knowledge. That is what the reason everybody has to follow standards. So everyone is following same standards, it will be easy for you, me, everyone to understand the concept, and immediately you can give some some tips to that person. At least you can give some resolution to that person. Yes or no? Right. So this is how it works. So the results are exactly what you would expect. Everyone who uses the current system constantly conference gaps. Okay, so that conference gap, large gaps is nothing but that gap, whatever the communication gap is there, you can reduce that gap. So whether it can be a doctor office or a hospital ward or a CRO, whatever it is, you can reduce this gap. So is this clear to everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
So why we have to move towards standards? Is everyone clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. And innovation depends on standardization. If you have standard, first of all, if you have standardized your process, standardized your data,
मम्मी
so we
रुको
can
मैं
innovate
बस
many
बेटा
things. Okay, right. I want everyone to mute yourself. Benefits of standard. This is all theory. You will feel bit dry, but still, so you should know the basics. So it is important. I want everyone to go through this slide. Right. So increase the importance of standards, you can see operational wise. It increases efficiency of performing clinical trials. So in terms of operation, if you are following standards, it will increase the efficiency of the clinical trial. Simplify the process among investigators, pharmaceutical companies, CROs, vendors, laboratories. So if everyone is following same standards, it will simplify the process among investigators, pharmaceutical companies, CROs, vendors, and labs. Streamline data collection at investigator sites. So you can streamline data collection. Suppose to say, whenever you are conducting a multi-center trial, okay, this is conducted at multiple centers, right? This is conducted at multiple centers, right? Okay, you can streamline the process. Improve sponsors access to data and ability to understand it. If everyone is following the same standard, okay, so in sponsor he can also easily understand what data is collected, how the data is, and he can instantly, immediately he can understand the how data is. Provide long term means for electronic data archive. So if you are following standards, it will provide long term means for electronic data archive. Next, facilitate FDA review of submissions. So even FDA guys also he can easily review. So with less period of time, he can also review the standards. Next, improves link between healthcare delivery and research. So you can also improve links between healthcare delivery and clinical research. Next, operational wise, these are all the advantages you have. Everyone is clear with this slide, right? Any questions with any of the point? Next, scientific. Facilitate integration of data across trials, compounds, and companies. Facilitate integration of data across trials, compounds, companies. Enable assessments of trends and patterns in data. Enable assessments of trends and patterns in data. Public health benefit, drug development benefit, and better guidance for studying disease states. Okay, so you can also see how this drug is working, how this particular molecule is working. We can assess the trends. So how many people are, how many public got benefited with this drug. Okay, so if you wanted to generate new drugs with respect to the same chemicals, so drug development benefit. So better guidance for studying disease states. So how the disease state is. So before it was very severe. So after that moderate, after that normal. So this is how it is. Allows companies to focus on potential therapeutic products versus data issues. Data issues are main factors. So in this case, if you are following standards, the data issues will be resolved, and you can focus on your therapeutic product. Next, improve safety monitoring and pharmacovigilance. So with respect to standards, you can improve safety visibility and pharmacovigilance. Support ad hoc analysis, enhance decision making capabilities during data review. Right. So now you can see here. Okay. Right. So you can see here, these are all the issues. Right. Next. You can see here, this is how it is. So support ad hoc analysis. Suppose to say FDA has reviewed your document. So they have got a new request. Okay, they have got a new request. So they are going to, we are supposed to give this request in almost all 2 or 3 days. No matter who worked earlier, so who are working now, they are least bothered. They have to, we have to provide immediate solution. So if everyone is following the same standard, either A or person B, whoever it is, because if the standards are same, they can work on this request. They can immediately give results back to FDA guys. Yes sir. No. Right. So is it clear to everyone? Yes or no? Is it clear to everyone? Yes or no?
Yes,
Next,
sir.
standards your mine hours. Standards your mine hours. So every CRO will have their own standards. Every CRO has their own standards. So internal standards are a good first step but are insufficient. Internal standards are a good first step but are insufficient. Streamline internal process. Streamline internal process. Little effect of data transfer and interoperability with external organizations. Little effect of data transfer and interoperability with external organizations. So if you are following standards, you can streamline your process. So like, you may have, whenever you are transferring data to labs or other CROs, so you will find minimum differences between these two organizations. Okay, right. Little effect of data transfer and interoperability with external organizations. CROs are a classic example of limits of internal standards. Of limits of internal standards. Right. Next, development and adoption of public standards are next logical steps. If like, we have to implement, so our organization is following some internal standards, that is a good one, but still you have to develop and adopt public standards, so that will be easy. You will also be in the race in the market. Okay, right. Right. Next, so if you are following the public standards, you can increase data efficiency of all participating organization. Suppose to say, one particular CRO, there are some drugs where one company alone cannot handle it, where one person cannot alone handle it. So in terms of budget, in terms of organization that of clinical trial, that is what it is. Next, and you can see here. So you can also renewed focus to clinical science. So whenever you are supposed to do a clinical trial, whenever multiple CROs are following, if you are following global standards, it will be easy for everyone to incorporate data. Again, CRO1 following own standards, CRO2 following own standards, 3, 4 separately following their standards. To combine all this into one particular data set, or to combine all this data into one particular file, it will be very difficult. Okay, because the standards were different. So now it will be easy if everyone is adopting global standards. So it will be easy. We can use simple set statement. You can combine it. Otherwise, data set one, CRO1 has one variable, CRO2 has another variable. So you'll get missing values in place of that variables in final data set. We all know concatenation using set statement. Agree, yes or no? You have seen different cases, right?
Yes.
Agree, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You all guys know, right?
Yes,
Concatenation
sir.
using set statement. All you guys know, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Why standards are important? You can see why standards are important. So now I want everyone to go through this picture. I want everyone to go through this picture. So what is IND stands for?
Investigational new drug application.
Investigational New Drug Application. NDA stands for
New drug application.
New Drug Application. IND is Investigational New Drug Application. NDA is New Drug Application. What is ISS stands for? Interim Summary on Safety Analysis. Interim Summary on Safety Analysis. Interim Summary on Safety Analysis. And ISC is Interim Summary on Efficacy Analysis. Interim Summary on Efficacy Analysis. ISC is Interim Summary on Efficacy Analysis. ISS is Interim Summary on Safety Analysis.
Sir, screen is not visible. Sir, screen is not visible.
Guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
where did it break here? What was the last point you were able to hear? What was the last point you were able to hear from where it got stopped? From where it got stopped?
Sir, with the full form of ISS and ISC.
Okay. So ISS is internal summary for safety and ISC is internal summary for efficacy. And this is a drug development cycle. You can see, right? This is a preclinical trial. In preclinical trial, up to 10,000 subjects, they 10,000 trials they may do. So to get the drug approved, almost all they will work on almost all 10,000 trials. And in phase 1 trials, they will work on 30 to 100 volunteers. So around 10 to 15 trials they will do phase 1. These numbers are not fixed, just a rough estimation. And phase 2 trials, you can see 4 to 8. Okay, phase 2 trials, you can see it is 4 to 8. So for phase 2 trials, they will work on 4 to 8. And in phase 3 trials, they will work on 3,000 plus patients. Right. And phase 3, you can see it is 3,000 plus patients. So they maybe, phase 3, they have to work on 2 to 3. So in first one go, drugs will not be approved. Sometimes you have to work on 2 to 3 trials also. And once your phase 3 is approved, next step, what you are supposed to do is you have to submit all the data to regulatory authority. So your regulatory will go through all these points and they will approve your product. So your regulatory will go through all these points, they will approve your product. Right. Next, they will approve the product in the market. So from that time they will get some 10 to 15 years elapsed time to sell the product in the market. So for next 10 years, so you can sell your product with whatever the price you want. That is why, so one injection, you might have noticed it is 50,000. So actually the cost will take 50,000 to manufacture an injection. The cost will take 50,000. No, right? So it is all the amount they have spent towards that R&D. Okay, whatever the amount they have spent so far, so they will get it back now. Okay, right. Now you can see once your once your phase 3 drug is done. Yes, please.
సార్ మీరు phase 1 లో సబ్జెక్ట్ అంటారన్నారు కదా, ఇక్కడ వాలంటీర్స్ అని పెట్టాడు.
అక్కడ పెట్టారు టెర్మినాలజీ, అది జస్ట్ ఫర్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్. సో ఎవ్రీవేర్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ సబ్జెక్ట్ as per your clinical trial data, as per your CDISC standards. Everywhere we have to call it subject, either phase 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, it should be subject. The terminology should be subject. That is a standard. Okay. So phase 1 volunteer ఎందుకు పెట్టారు అంటే, so phase 1 generally we will not test the molecule on patients. హెల్దీగా ఉన్న వాళ్ళని తీసుకొచ్చి చెక్ చేస్తారు డ్రగ్ హ్యూమన్ బాడీకి సరిపోతుందా లేదా అనేసి. సో దే విల్ టెస్ట్ దిస్ డ్రగ్ ఆన్ హెల్దీ persons, healthy volunteers. So they are 100% fit, they are absolutely fine, they are voluntarily coming to participate in the clinical trial. Okay, so they are called as volunteers. Okay, so this is the terminology for you to understand, but CDISC standard says whatever the phase it is, we should call the person as subject. So we have gone through ICH E6 definition, right? A person who is participating in a clinical trial, we have to call him as a trial subject. You have seen, right? Yes or no? The definition we have gone through, right? You guys remember, yes or no? Yes or no, yaar? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
మరి చెప్పాలి కదా, yes or no? So before standards, this is the process. You see, right? This is your EDC system. So EDC stands for electronic data capture. EDC stands for electronic data capture. Internal CDM systems, internal clinical data management system. CDM stands for CDM data management. CDM stands for internal CDM stands for internal clinical data management and data warehouse. From here, regulatory agencies, corporate partners, statistical programmers, they will write programs based on data. So are you clear which EDC is going to which internal CDM system from this picture?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, it is very difficult for you to understand which EDC is going to which CDM. So it is always a confusion. So regulatory agency is looking at this data warehouse, corporate partners are looking at this, and some statistical programmers looking at another data warehouse. It is always a confusion. So now after standards, you have only one EDC, and that EDC, the data is captured with respect to ODM standards. ODM stands for operational data model. Operational data model. So ODM stands for operational data model. So you will have only one EDC. Through that EDC, it has to go through one CDM system only. Through that CDM system, it has to go to data warehouse, SDS. SDS stands for submission data standards. You have to capture data with respect to submission data standards. Right. Internal data warehouse, SDS. Regulatory agencies, corporate partners, statistical programmers. Okay, regulatory agencies, corporate partners, statistical programmers. Okay, right. So this is into the future. They don't want CDM systems. They want directly from source to data warehouse. This is not yet implemented. This is the idea people have. They wanted to do like this. Benefits of standards, regulatory view. Before SDTM, after SDTM. So before SDTM, you can see. So I want everyone to go through this slide. This slide, if you go through, you can understand easily. So here, if you see here, so the data is collected with respect to standard domains. The data is collected with respect to standard domains, yes. So standard domain names, no. Before SDTM, no. But after SDTM, yes. Standard structure, no. But now we have standard structure in SDTMs. Standard variables, no, but now we have standard variable names. So standard variables, no, standard variables, no. Okay. Variables, variable names, no, but here it is yes. Standard terms, no. Now it is yes here. Okay. So here standard terms, here it has written not yet but coming, but still now it has come. Okay. This is a old presentation, right? By that time it is not there, but now it is there. Okay. Right. Next. Okay. So you can see I want everyone to read this. This is all just a global view from regulatory perspective. Why standards are important? You can read this. So if everyone is following standards, it will be easy for the FDA to review your data and quickly give approval to your trial. Okay, it will be easy for reviewer to quickly look at your data and give approval for your trial. Right. And this here ends the topic. So CDISC you can see which soup it is. I want everyone to read this also. This is important. So you see, right? CDISC is a open, multidisciplinary, non-profitable organization. Non-profitable organization committed to the development of worldwide industry standards. Committed to the development of worldwide industry standards to support the electronic acquisition, exchange, submission, and archiving of clinical trial data and metadata for medical and biopharmaceutical product development. Okay, right. Fine. So you can see here, this is how it is. right? So it is a CDISC is a open multidisciplinary. So open means multidisciplinary means it is a open. Open means so everyone can join this. This is not a profitable organization. So here the people are to serve this industry, clinical industry. So this is a non-profitable organization. Okay, so here they are going to consider each and every person's. Okay, here they are going to consider each and every person's, every country's guidance. Okay, they will go through. Right. So each and every country's guidance they will go through with respect to their standards, with respect to their requirements. The standards will be developed. Okay, right. The mission of CDISC is to develop and support global platform independent data standards that enables information system interoperability to improve medical research and other related areas of healthcare. Okay, right. This is what exactly the CDISC functionality is. So the concept of CDISC is it will provide it will provide that guidance to all the countries across the globe. Suppose to say in Germany or like suppose in some other countries, you are not supposed to ask people age. So in that case, it will say expected. If you wanted to tell, you can tell. Otherwise, no. In India, everybody will tell their age. Correct. So when going to a doctor, they will tell their age, right? Right. Next. So with this, we are done with today's session. Everyone clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Everybody is clear, right? So these are
Yes,
all
sir.
not required. You can ignore this. Okay. So next weekend you will not have class. So next class is on, next Monday. Okay. I told weekend also I'll take class 8th and 9th, right? So I'm canceling that class. So our next class will be on Monday 10th. Got the
Thank you,
point?
sir. Happy Dasara.
I know you will be happy with this statement. Okay. You got 7 days holidays. Hmm? You guys got
Sir,
7 days
7 work
holidays, right?
sir.
Uh,
7 work ఇచ్చారు sir.
7 days ఇచ్చాను.
7 days sir.
అంతే కదా.
5 days.
సాటర్డే సండే ఎవరికి ఇస్తారు?
3, 4, 5, 6,
Hmm?
7. Sir,
నెక్స్ట్
Saturday.
వీక్ అంతా హాలిడే
3
కదా.
to 7
3 to
వరకు.
9. 3 to 9.
3 to
8 to 9
7
తీసుకోవట్లేదు కదా క్లాసు. ఇప్పుడు
అవునా
8th
సార్?
9th
ఓకే
క్లాసెస్
సార్.
తీసుకోని చెప్పాను కదా. అరే ఇప్పుడు చెప్పిందే ఇప్పుడు వినట్లేదా మీరు?
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ విల్ బి ఆన్ 10th. I told you, right?
Yes sir.
So next class
Thank
will
you
be
so
on
much sir.
10th. Okay? Enjoy your vacation. Don't forget SAS. Don't
Happy
forget
Dasara
CDISC.
sir.
Yeah. Happy Dasara to you. ఖమ్మంలో ఎవరైనా ఉన్నారా?
మీరు
Yes,
ఖమ్మంలో
sir.
ఉన్నారా సార్?
ఎవరు ఉన్నారా ఖమ్మంలో? Anyone in ఖమ్మం?
Hello. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Sir, I'm here sir.
అన్విత ఖమ్మంలో ఉన్నారా మీరు?
Yes sir.
భద్రాచలం ఎంత దూరం అక్కడి నుంచి?
100 sir. 100 plus.